with Russia and the president and this cybersecurity statement he put out there. He wants to work with Vladimir Putin, claiming that this cybersecurity unit will prevent future election hacking and many other negative things will be guarded. What say you, sir?
It's not the dumbest idea I've ever heard, but it's pretty close. He gave a really good speech in Poland, President Trump did, and he had what I think is a disastrous meeting with President Putin. 2 hours and 15 minutes of meetings. Tillerson and Trump are ready to forgive and forget when it comes to cyber attacks on the American election of 2016. Nobody's saying, Mr. President, the Russians changed the outcome. You won fair and square, but they did try to attack our election system. They were successful in many ways, and the more you do this, the more people are suspicious about you and Russia. He's got a great national security team around him. He's doing a good job in Afghanistan, North Korea, and ISIL, but when it comes to Russia, he's got a blind spot, and to forgive and forget when it comes to Putin regarding cyber attacks is to empower Putin, and that's exactly what he's doing. Well, here we are, though. You have said similar things before. Other Republicans have said similar things before, that he only... Right. What he did this morning, is he putting more faith in Putin's word than in the word of the American intel community? I wouldn't look at it that way. He seems to be willing to forgive and forget Putin. Even if he brought it up, he's not willing to do anything about it. So it makes me more committed than ever to get sanctions on President Trump's desk punishing Putin. There's only one person in Washington that I know of that has any doubt about what Russia did in our election, and it's President Trump. And I hate that because I really like what he's doing regarding North Korea, putting them on notice about no missile will ever be used to hit America. I like what he's doing in Afghanistan. He took on Assad. He's got a good plan regarding ISIL. But when it comes to Russia, I am dumbfounded. I am disappointed. And at the end of the day, he's hurting his presidency by not embracing the fact that Putin's a bad guy who tried to undercut our democracy, and he's doing it all over the world. You know, one of the things that the president said is sanctions did not come up, and it wouldn't come up until Ukraine and Syria problems are solved. How do you take that tweet? Do you take that as a positive sign that he doesn't want to lift sanctions? Right. Or do you take that as a negative sign that he doesn't want to put new ones on? I take it as a positive sign he doesn't want to lift sanctions against Russia for dismembering the Ukraine. I take all the other tweets as a blind spot about Russia. He needs to sit down with his FBI director, his CIA director, the NSA, and the DNI, all people he's appointed, and they will tell him, if he will listen, that the Russians did it, and they're still involved in our election process. I worry about what they're going to do in Germany in September and what they'll do in 2018. He is literally the only person I know of who has any doubt about where Russia attacked our election in 2016. And it didn't change the outcome. It creates suspicion. There is no evidence of collusion that I've seen. But the more he talks in terms of not being sure, the more he throws our intelligence communities under the bus, the more he's willing to forgive and forget Putin, the more suspicion. And I think it's going to dog his presidency until he breaks his cycle. Is there a point where it makes it harder to do other business with him if he continues to do this with, as far as you're concerned? I may be the test case of that, because I really do believe he's come up with the right strategy in Afghanistan. He's empowering the military. He's got the right attitude about ISIL. He's trying to rally the world to fight ISIL. And when it comes to North Korea, he's told me to my face, Lindsey, I will not let them have a missile to hit our homeland. Kim Jong-un doesn't want a nuclear weapon. He's already got one. He wants a missile to hit America, and President Trump told me to my face, I will never let that happen. And the only thing between the United States and North Korea over this missile program is China. He understands the world pretty damn well, except for Russia. Mr. President, you're hurting your ability to govern this nation by forgiving and forgetting and empowering, forgiving and forgetting when it comes to Russia, and actually empowering a nemesis of the democracy, Putin. I just don't get it. Look, you have talked about this new Russian sanctions bill that passed through the Senate, 98-2. It is now in the House. Some say it's being stalled in the House. There's been reports Trump administration's trying to water down the sanctions. You have said if he doesn't pass the Senate version, if he doesn't sign that bill, you called it, he said he will be betraying the democracy. Is that your red line for working with President Trump? At the end of the day, the House needs to pass a bill. If you don't like our bill word for word, you can change it, but I'm not going to gut the bill. I am intent on punishing the Russians for interfering in our election. They did it in France. They're going to do it in Germany. They're doing it all over the world. They're doing it in the Baltics and Balkan states, their neighbors. So I want a clear message to Russia that you'll pay a price for. And if President Trump doesn't embrace this, I think he will be empowering the Russians and betraying democracy. I can't say it any clearer than that. His speech in Poland was terrific, that we as a nation are more secure when you have European democracies working jointly with us, that civilization needs to push back against ISIL, that Russia needs to stop. The speech was great, but this whole idea about moving forward without punishing Russia is undercutting his entire presidency.
I got to ask you, the deal with Syria between Russia and the United States and the ceasefire. We've been through these ceasefires before, but the Secretary of State seemed to imply that, you know what, maybe they've got the right approach and we've got the wrong approach when it comes to Syria. I'm curious what you thought of that comment from the Secretary of State.
I was just dismayed. I like Secretary Tillerson, but I just got back from Afghanistan. We have a good military strategy to turn the war around. We're going to be more aggressive against Taliban and international terrorists. But on the Department of State front, there was no focus and no resources. We don't have an ambassador in Afghanistan. We don't have one in Pakistan. There is no effort on Tillerson's part to be part of the team to turn around Afghanistan. And his statements about Syria really disturbed me. No. Putin does not have it right when it comes to Syria, and this ceasefire is going to help Assad. There'll never be an end to this war as long as Assad's in power, so we're empowering the Russians in Syria. This is the Secretary Tillerson needs to staff up the State Department and use it wisely. They're completely AWOL when it comes to their part of the strategy in Afghanistan. I'm so worried about the State Department.
All right, before I let you go, health care on the domestic front. Are you ready to support this bill? And be realistic here. Is there even a vote on health care in the next 2 weeks in the U.S. Senate?
I think this bill... In South Carolina, we're down to one exchange. 70% of the counties in the nation only have one exchange. Obamacare is failing. Whether or not we can come together, I don't know. Mitch is trying. I would support the proposal before us. But you got different camps in the Republican Party. But Obamacare is going to fail. My advice is, if it does fail, work together in a bipartisan fashion to replace it. I don't know what the outcome will be, but Mitch is trying really hard.
Senator Graham, I'll leave it there. Only you are willing to spend your birthday with us on Sunday morning.